Well, good morning, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome into our home stretch, final last little bit of the school year. This is actually my last show of the entire school year after like 200 plus broadcasts in September. It's been an absolutely wild ride, and I just want to thank all of you for joining us in this incredible year where we've had the chance to showcase just the coolest scientists and explorers on planet Earth. Everything, as you know, is on our YouTube channel, so you can check them all out. You can check out everything we've done for 11 years. There's so much to explore and discover there. Now, this is in the midst of our big ocean spectacular. Last week, Joe mostly hosted about 15 broadcasts with some of the coolest people on Earth, like the craziest ocean celebration we've ever had. So much to explore. Again, head to our YouTube channel, check it out. I promise you, you will be blown away. But I am thrilled that of all the programs you joined for, you're here for this one. Because for this one, we've got Mala, the best ocean educator on the planet, live from OceanWise. Now, OceanWise is like the biggest organization for helping people understand and explore the deep sea on planet Earth. They've got the coolest website ever. If you're keen on sustainable seafood or coral or sharks or Arctic or anything, head to ocean.org and there's stuff to keep you occupied the entire summer long. But today, we're going to talk about something pretty special. So Mallory reached out last week and she said, Jesse, what should we talk about? And she's like, we've got this thing about like poo and saliva and eDNA and giants in the sea. And I was like, sold! Sounds great to me. And so you get to enjoy giants. Snot, spouts, and science is our exact phrase for our opening today. And without further ado, I'm going to zip my lip and turn you over to her to blow your mind. Welcome in from Toronto. So nice to see ya.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Jesse. Your welcome is always so warm. Hello, everyone. It is so exciting to join you all today virtually and talk to you about what I love most, which is our amazing ocean. My name is Mala. I use she and her pronouns, and I am an environmental education coordinator with OceanWise. And I am actually located in Toronto, Ontario, which is the traditional territory of many different nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Huron-Wendat people. This land is also home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. And before getting today's program started, I just wanted to honor the land I get to speak to you all from and extend my thank you to the communities who have been here since time immemorial, taking care of our land, sea, and sky. Now, being an online educator, an online science educator, I get to talk to people all around the world about what I love most, which is the ocean. And I'm sure some of you folks are joining in from many different places. So feel free to message us and let us know where you're joining from. Now, I fell in love with the ocean when I was very young. And I fell in love with it because of all of the amazing animals that live inside of it. Two of my favorite ocean animals are whale sharks and nudibranchs. And what I love about them is their beautiful patterns. Some of them are polka dotted, especially nudibranchs. They come in stripes. Some of them are in fluorescent light. Some of them even glow in the dark, which is so neat. So I love these animals. And again, feel free to use the chat and message us what your favorite ocean animal is. But the real question I want to know, since we're talking about whales, is what is your favorite whale? Jesse, do you have a favorite whale at all? Or?
This is a tough one. Okay. I really do like all of these. I've seen humpback whales in person doing exactly that, breaching. I've always, my dream, the blue whale is the biggest animal ever to exist in the earth ever, bigger than any dinosaur. They're really rocking. Sperm whale, I would love to see all the sperm whales sleeping in the water upright. So that's my favorite because it's one of the things I most want to see on the planet.
It's an insane phenomenon. It's kind of creepy. So I don't know if I'd want to see that, like a bunch of huge whales just kind of sleeping horizontally or vertically. I think my favorite is killer whales. I think they're absolutely beautiful. They come from matriarchal communities, meaning that they really respect their mothers and their grandmothers, and their mothers and grandmothers are the ones that teach them how to hunt, how to communicate. I think they're highly intelligent. So I love killer whales, but there's no right answer. All whales are super cool. And one of the reasons why they're so cool is because they have so many cool adaptations, and many of them are keystone species, meaning that we need them in order for our ocean ecosystems to survive. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some of the research our whales researchers and scientists are doing at OceanWise to study and understand whales better. So we're going to dive into today's program, which is the giants of the sea, snot, spouts, and science. But a little bit about OceanWise before I dive in. We are a nonprofit organization based out of Vancouver, British Columbia, on a very important mission to empower communities and individuals to take action and protect and restore our world's ocean. Now, how exactly do we do that? We have a bunch of teams all working together in different sectors of the ocean, trying to tackle three main issues, including ocean pollution, overfishing, and climate change. So as Jesse mentioned, feel free to visit us at ocean.org to keep up to date with any of the work that we're doing. And today we're going to talk a little bit about these three things and how they affect whales as well. But before we do, get ready. We're going to do some whale trivia. Send your into the chat as well. This is trivia that we've done in the past, but you know, if you're joining for the first time, it should be fun and hopefully we can all learn something together.
Yeah.
All right. First question here. Which of these animals is the closest living relative of whales? Do we think it's salmon, hippos, sea lions, or sharks?
Let's see. So YouTubers, I know you're a little delayed, so you can type in the chat what you think. We've got so many people liked killer whale, by the way. So that was maybe our vote online for the first one. What closest relative of whales? Colin, if you want to chime in our chat as well, what do we have? We've got sea lion. We've got hippo. No one thinks shark just yet. No one thinks salmon. Okay. I know the answer to this. It's one of my very favorite things in all times. Hippos. Oh, now we've got a shark. Okay. So we got everything but salmon. Let's see. Well, I think, more shark. Oh, lots of sharks now. Okay.
Whoa. You know what it is? I think the whale shark really confuses folks and makes people think that they might be the same thing. But my friends, the answer is in fact hippos. It is number 2. They had a common ancestor that lived a very, very long time ago, about 55 million years ago. They have a common ancestor. And if you look at the hippo's nose, I like to say that it resembles a specific part of the whale's body that we will discuss in just a little bit as well. I don't want to give any spoilers, but remember what the snout, what the nose of this hippo looks like. And we'll look back at it and compare it to another part of a whale's body. All right, next question here. Killer whales are born with whiskers. True or false?
What do we think? I put in the chat too, while you're putting the answer in for this one. Look up Pachycetus, which is the OG whale, and is the weirdest creature you've ever seen. Let's see what we got. True or false? I mean, they're in the water. They're so smooth. What do we think? We think true. Oh, this course class. Welcome to Stratford. Okay, we got a first true. True. Oh, they're all saying true. We've got them on the mammal train now. Now we've got a first false. Okay.
All right.
So far, mostly true. What do we think?
Well, I guess we're doing really well. We have some whales experts here. The answer is absolutely true. They are born with whiskers. And if you look closely, they even have belly buttons. If you take a very close look at the screen here. So we have a lot in common with whales. We also have whiskers or mustaches, I guess, and belly buttons. So we have a lot more in common than we think. All right, next question. This one's quite easy, but you never know. Whales can breathe underwater through their gills. Is that true or false?
What do we think? Maybe if they were related to those salmon, the answer would be different than what it is.
Maybe.
This is a great thing, but this isn't just an answer for whales, but every creature that changed on land and then went back to the water, this is the same answer for. So yep. A whole bunch of false. Now we've got some true. Oh, we've got some false, mostly false again. And so I don't think so. I don't think they have those gills.
That's okay. We're all here to learn, right? So it's okay if we're getting some of them wrong, but this one is actually false. So whales do not have gills. They have something called a blowhole, which is what they use to breathe. And it's this nose-like features that they have kind of on the top, or some whales have it shifted on the side of their head that helps them breathe. And this is that feature that I was talking about. Kind of looks almost like a hippo's nose, where this is where they're going to breathe from. So again, they left the water, came onto land, and then went back into water. So these guys still got to come up to take a breath. They can't filter the oxygen underwater the way fish and sharks do. These guys got to come up to take a breath using their blowhole. All right, next question. The blue whale is the largest animal we know that has ever lived on our planet. And Jesse talked about this earlier, so let's see who was paying attention.
Yeah. Who listens to me? This is the big thing. I've been doing this for 10 years now. Who listens to me is the moral.
Who listens to Jesse? Yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of people think dinosaurs, and dinosaurs are gigantic. It was crazy that we had such amazing creatures on land, but the answer to this is coming in from our chat in droves. True, 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 and so amazing. Yes, it is. It's true. Way to go, everybody.
Absolutely, it's true. Bigger than the dinosaurs, bigger than anything that has lived on our planet. The blue whales remain being the largest animal to ever live on our planet. Yes, bigger than the megalodon. These guys can get to 24 to 30 meters, or around the size of 3 entire school buses. And not only are they very, very long, they are very, very heavy, and they can weigh up to 150 tons, which is around the size or the weight of 2 entire space shuttles. So blue whales are absolutely massive, and they were almost hunted to extinction, and they were brought back from the brink of extinction. So it shows the ocean is resilient. If we work hard and we try to protect these species, they can make a comeback. And again, a keystone species as well, meaning very, very important to our ocean. All right, folks, thank you so much for taking part of our trivia. Now it's time to dive into some of the fun stuff. So we're going to start learning a little bit about whales and about eDNA. But first, it's important to understand what types of whales are there. Now, I know I asked you for your favorite types of whales, but there's actually 2 classifications. So there are toothed whales, which are usually like porpoises or sperm whales or killer whales. And these guys are toothed whales because they have those really, really sharp teeth, right? And they're going to bite into and kind of crunch and chow down on their prey. Right? Very predator-like. But there are also baleen whales, which include gray whales, minke whales, the blue whale. And these guys are called baleen because that's what their teeth are made out of. So they're not going to have those really, really sharp teeth that the killer whales have. Instead, it almost kind of looks like a broomstick. It's like this bristly plates that grow in their mouth, and they filter their food. So what they do is they gulp a bunch of water, and hopefully they get a bunch of krill and small little fish inside of it. They'll push out the water almost like a strainer, and all of the krill will get stuck inside of this baleen in their mouth. And that's what they lick off, and that's what they end up eating. So some of the smallest organisms in the ocean is responsible for fueling some of the largest animals in our ocean. So it goes to show it doesn't matter how big or small you have a huge job and a role to play in any ecosystem you're from. But I know we've been telling you that we're going to be talking about snot and about poop and about spit. It's time to jump into that. But before we do, I had a question for our audience. If you had to study whales, how exactly do you think you would do that? Do you have any techniques, any technology you would use? What would you do, Jesse? Any ideas?
I just go swimming. I'm on the coast. I'm just going to jump in the ocean, start swimming after every whale I see, and I'm getting really fast. I think they'll outswim me, but there's an option here. No, I mean, this is a question we come to a lot in whale programs, and it's very challenging. Blue whales, the biggest animal ever to exist on the planet, we don't know where they have babies. That's crazy. Like all the technology, all the effort, all the research vessels, and we understand very little about this creature. So it's very, very challenging. Does anyone want to chime in the chat? We've got, again, this is a very interactive broadcast. So lots of opportunity to jump in and share things. We've got citizen science. Yes. Maybe we've got people sharing the images that they do capture. I go on whale watching tours here, so I can tell scientists, we saw some humpback, we saw some gray whales, underwater cameras and boats. So things that are just under, yep. We're under the sea. We're checking for whales. We're looking for them all the time. Dress as a whale and live undercover in their pod.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Argyle said another answer.
Try to blend in. Yeah. These are amazing answers, folks, and you are all correct. Whale monitoring is the answer that we get most. People want to record, take pictures, track whales. Absolutely. At OceanWise, we do a lot of that, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. And one thing that we do is also collect eDNA samples. So what we do is the 2 main things that we're going to talk about when it comes to studying whales is collecting eDNA samples and also doing whale monitoring through the usage of drones. So let's talk a little bit about eDNA first. So what exactly is eDNA? eDNA is environmental DNA. So our cetacean health and monitoring team has been very, very busy collecting non-invasive water samples from whales up and down the Salish Sea. And that is what we call eDNA. And that is DNA that is shed from different animals and species into their local environments. And it can be detected through many different things like soil, fresh water, seawater, air. And what exactly does it entail? eDNA is skin cells, maybe air from the breath that they take when they come up to the top of the ocean to take their breath. And even their poop can be very, very valuable in this type of research. All of this eDNA gives us so much information. And what type of information does it give us? It gives us things like sexing and gendering, right? So are there specific threats to a specific gender of whales, right? Like, are male whales suffering more than female whales are, right? Large whale monitoring. So have whales returned to pre-whaling habitats where they were removed from? Have they come back? Parentage. How many whales contribute to the population? How many whales are having babies and able to carry babies? Population genetics. Or maybe there's some subpopulation for other species in the ocean. We've got skin health. Right? So how does whale health change with temperatures changing in the ocean due to weather, due to climate change, different things like that? And last but not least, whale diets. What exactly are whales eating? And how is this food changing? And how is it affecting different whales? Why exactly are we collecting eDNA? It's to study things like all of these, their health, their pregnancy, their diet, their gender, population genetics, even to identify whales. To better protect these animals, we have to understand their needs. And our work with eDNA really helps us do that. And it's really fun to conduct this research as well. I have a really cool video here of how our team kind of collects that data. So I'm going to play it here. I'm going to mute this. There we go. So this is our friend Gary. He's on our whales team. And what they do is you'll see the whale come up right over here to take its breath, and it goes back in. Now our boat is going to wait for the right time, and it's going to drive in to the same place that the whale just kind of came up. Now that area of disturbed water where that whale came up and went back down, that's what we call a fluke print. And it essentially contains concentrated patch of skin cells and therefore their DNA. And that's what we're going to try to swim into. And then we're going to collect a sample of it. And this is a clip of our team collecting that eDNA sample from that whale's breath. It's really, really cool. So you'll see her come in right now with her jug, scoops up that water that the whale just swam through, and puts it into the cooler. And that's pretty much it. Now that's going to go back to the lab, and we're going to start sampling it, and we're going to learn as much as we can about that whale. And a really big benefit is that the whale wasn't disturbed. This is another really, really cool video of us scooping up some poop into a little cup here. What do you think, Jesse? Is this something you could do with us? Should we get you on a boat scooping some whale poop?
I'd love to get whale poop. Poop is most of biology. That's like half of what all the people we bring on do. They're constantly around poo.
There we go. Yeah. Message us in the chat if you feel like you'd be down to get on a boat and scoop up some whale poop. I mean, it gives us so much information. And I know it can be hard work, but it is so valuable. And this is kind of what it looks like. This is some poop samples that we look at to detect the health of whales, such as if they're pregnant, well fed, their stress levels. And it's also a very creative way to learn and gain knowledge. eDNA samples is just a really, really fun way to learn more about these animals. So yeah, we'll collect the samples, we'll filter it in our lab, and then we essentially process it at our lab at PSEC in Vancouver. And that's where we'll learn a bunch of things. So eDNA is kind of the forefront of growing whales research. It hasn't really been done a lot in the past for many different reasons, but we're learning now that it's a really, really great way to learn more about these animals. It's non-invasive, right? Meaning we don't have to trap these whales or hurt them or anything like that. So there's really, really less stress levels. It helps address weaknesses to existing methods. It facilitates involvement from the public, folks like you, to do some data collection and some citizen science. It generates more data on a bigger scale. And there's so much evidence-based knowledge that can be gained from this as well. So it's a really, really great way to learn more about whales, is collecting these eDNA samples. But the other way that we can learn more about whales is through drones. Now, how exactly are drones super, super helpful? It's because we can use drones to record and track and follow whales wherever they may be from, again, a very non-invasive distance. So in order to use a drone, you have to have very specific licensing, and you have to obtain a permit, which our researchers have. It normally looks something like this. This one's a more colorful version that I created for all of us. But using drones, we can fly overhead of different ecosystems and record pictures and videos and maybe even sounds of whales to track them, maybe learn more about where they're eating, where they're mating, how many individuals there were in a population, right? What their fluke patterns are, right? Like what their tails might look like, so that we can ID them and identify them and see, are the same whales coming back to the same grounds year by year, or are they leaving? And what are their migratory paths? These are all things that drones can help us detect. And again, this is another video of our team using and flying a drone to collect some footage here on, I believe, a killer whale. And yeah, we just get to sit on a boat and we fly it out. So again, if you love taking pictures, if you love taking videos, and you like creating movies, this is a really cool conservation job that you can look into, right? Turn your passion of video making and photography into an ocean career, and maybe track some whales and ID them for the public and build that database. Right. But yeah, some of the work that we do with it is actually understanding how different animals or different whales might be eating as well. So for example, we took a picture of Eno, a killer whale in the ocean, in 2020. And then we took a picture of Eno again in 2021. And this was using our drones. And we were able to measure Eno 1 year apart. And when we did that, we noticed that in 1 year, Eno had lost a lot of weight. Not only Eno had lost a lot of weight, she went from 1.1 to 0.9 in her sizing, but a lot of other killer whales had gone through something similar. And that gave us the question, why are these whales losing weight? And it made us come to the conclusion that they're not finding as much food as they used to find in the ocean. So again, our research question was based off of some of the footage that was collected from these drones. So taking pictures of these whales can help so much when it comes to studying these animals. And again, also IDing these whales. So taking a picture of them and putting them into our database and naming them, and then visiting them year by year, remembering, hey, we saw this whale in BC, and now this whale is somewhere along the coast of the United States. This is the path that they might have taken. And year by year, they're taking these similar paths. It helps us ID them a lot. Now, how exactly do we ID them? Using their tails, using their flukes. So this is what a fun little game I would love for you folks to try. We're going to try to ID some whales. So what we do is when a whale comes up for a breath and they go back down, their tail will usually stick up. And we try to take a picture of that tail and try to match it to them anywhere else they might go. So try to match this top row of whale tails to this bottom row of whale tails. What do we think? Let's see how well everybody does.
All right. This is, of the whale tails you've shown us in the past, this is a pretty easy one, I think.
This is easy.
Wally's pretty distinctive there on the right. And yeah, we got Wally one. Good, very good. Okay. Great names, by the way. And then Dragonface, he's got quite a bit more white than Gator. So yeah, he's 3. Yeah, and Gator is 2. Okay, so it's 2, 3, 1 in that order.
All right, let's see how we did. You got it. Amazing. All right, you guys all just ID'd whales, and that's how sometimes easy it can be if we have the materials that we need. If we have the pictures that we need, we can ID these whales. And Jesse, I know you mentioned that you love these names of the whales. Fun fact, if you ever want to name a whale, you can give us a follow, ocean.org. And when we find new whales, we ID new whales, we always take votes, and folks can enter different whale names that they might like. So again, using drones is really important to track track whales, and to also identify them so that we can continue doing the research that we need to do. Really quickly, I'm going to wrap it up here so that we can get to some Q&A. But I think it's important to understand what some of the threats are to whales and some things that we can do to help them as well. So what are some of the largest threats to whales? They include some big ticket items that we've all kind of heard of throughout our conservation journey, I'm sure. Things like pollution, both chemical and plastic. Right? Pollution can be very, very bad for whales, right? Obviously, making the water conditions, making their homes very unhealthy, and also contaminating their food. The next thing is a decline in food as well. We're seeing salmon populations decline, herring populations decline. A bunch of different fish are really, really declining in population size, and it's affecting how animals can eat and also their health overall. And last but not least, we also have noise pollution. Things like boats and jets. They can be very, very loud underwater to these animals, and it can be very, very stressful for these animals. So targeting these three things, making sure that we're trying to reduce the impacts of these things can be very, very helpful for whales. But how exactly can we do that? I want to turn that over to you folks. What exactly do you think that we can do to protect whales? And I'll add it to this notebook here so that we can all see what we're coming up with. But what do we think, Jesse? What are some plans? What are you coming up with?
Let's see, Cullen YouTubers, the more we can share, the happier we are. And then you guys already have like the best questions in the chat I've ever seen. So rocking Q&A to come in the next 15 minutes. What can we do to help whales? We can study them and learn more. Yep. Study, learn more. Sweet. What else do we have? We've got maybe reusable, like any sort of not using plastics. So like reusable lunches, reusable water bottles, like anything to prevent waste getting into the water.
Yeah, reduce waste maybe.
Yeah. We can limit shipping channels. So like where ships come in, we can sort of make sure those are tiny areas that the whales have more free room to go. Stop polluting. Yes, that's sort of like reduced waste coming on. Fantastic. So we don't hit whales. Anything else? There's a big one we didn't talk a lot about today, but I'm going to highlight we can quiet things down in the water. We can quiet engines. We can quiet ships. A lot of whale deaths and injuries are caused by way too much noise in the water from the ships that we have. So these are really good answers. But else, stop spilling oil. Very good. Yep. Cool. So be careful of how we move energy around this planet. Restrain over fishing. So make sure we're not fishing in a way that we can potentially impact whales. You guys are like, geez. Hold on. We filled it up.
Yeah, we filled up the page. It's great. I love it. Yeah, there are so many things that we can do. And I actually have some suggestions as well that we kind of talked about here. But yeah, we can tell our friends and family what we learned, right? If you feel like you learned something new today, or you learned something new at school or at a museum you go to, right? Share that knowledge. If we share what we learned, then we can all continue learning together and raise awareness together as well. The next thing that you can do is if you're in Canada, you can report a whale sighting. So Jesse, I know you mentioned that you get to see whales all the time. You can download the whale report app, and it allows you, if you ever see a whale along the coast, you can send an alert and it'll automatically notify all of the different boats in the area to let them know that there's a whale there, to stay away from that area, to make sure that there aren't any collisions. I mean, it'll also reduce the noise in that area where that whale is as well. And the last thing that we can do is buy locally. Now, this is something that we don't often think about, but once we start thinking about it, it's pretty obvious why we should buy more locally. And one of the reasons is because if we are buying internationally, that means we need a lot more boats in the water to ship a lot of our stuff. That means a lot more ocean traffic and a lot more noise pollution. If we buy things locally, that means less boats on the ocean, and that means less collisions, less noise pollution, less waste pollution. So it's really, really good way to support local people and also just reduce your global impact, your global carbon output. Lovely. All right, friends. I hope you all learned something new. I'm super excited for these questions. Really quick, if you enjoyed today's program, feel free to visit our website, ocean.org. We have so many free resources for teachers to use inside of their classrooms, like guided lesson plans, discovery kits with artifacts that you can bring into your classrooms. You can even book us to run a virtual program with you if you'd like. If you're in BC, you can have the Sea Dome come visit, which is like this 360 planetarium. So many resources. Check us out at ocean.org/education for any of those resources. And any of you folks who have your phones on you, feel free to scan this QR code. It's a really, really fun quiz here that will tell you what ocean animal you are at the end. And you can also leave us some comments and feedbacks on how you enjoyed our program today with OceanWise, so we can continue developing them and making them better for everyone. All right, that's it for me. I'll pass it back to you, Jesse. I guess we're going to do some Q&A.
We sure are, man. So honestly, one of the better Q&As I've ever seen in the chat ever. And I want to stress, if you have extra questions you don't get answered in these final 15 minutes, email them to me. I'll pass them to OceanWise. We'll get you all the answers in the days to come. You guys are fantastic. Let's see what we'll begin with. Okay, what do we got? Okay, how long does eDNA last for? Is it always there? That's a great question.
Amazing question. So it depends on the sample. So if it's whale poop, for example, the whale poop will float on top of the surface for maybe just a few minutes before it's going to sink. So we have to be very, very quick. Same with their saliva, their breath, for example. If they take a breath, it's going to go into the air and it's going to disperse really, really quickly. So we have to be very fast within a few minutes. Once it's been longer than even like 3 or 4 minutes, we can't really use it. It's been too contaminated. So we have to really follow the whale for a while and get in there really quick. And then once it's in the cooler, we can make it last for a little bit longer. In the lab, we have different solutions that allow it to survive for a little bit longer. We can extract those cells. But when it comes to actually getting it, we have to be very quick within the next few minutes.
Yeah, great question to kick us off, man. Our Argyle Center folks in Edmonton have a question. Does eDNA show up in animals that eat other animals? And I've got an addendum to this, but do tell us.
Yeah. So if I'm understanding this question correctly, absolutely. So if a whale has eaten other animals, we can see what it might be eating through that whale DNA, depending on obviously the samples. Poop samples, that's the gold. That's what's going to tell us everything the other animals are eating. And this isn't just for whales either. We can collect eDNA samples for like salamanders, and we can do it for zebras and any other animal. If we want to learn more about them, we can learn so much about their diet and things that they're eating and different bodily functions and how healthy they are based off of their eDNA. So it's bigger than just whales, all animals.
And before eDNA was even a thing, like we've always studied what animals eat. We study poo,
yes,
their guts. We study what they spit up. We study things like owl pellets. Like we learn a lot about animals' behavior and ecology and everything else from the things that they eat and interact with. So it's a great question, guys. And we're just getting more and more adept at doing that with all sorts of
love these questions. These are amazing questions.
Cullen, we're going to go to you live with us. If you want to flick on your mic, come on in. You're good. Take us away. And nice to see you. Hey.
How long can whales stay underwater after coming to the surface?
Ooh.
That's a great question. So that's another species specific question. So some whales, only a few minutes, but some whales can actually sleep underwater. Like I believe belugas and sperm whales, they will fall asleep for like hours and hours and hours. Almost like over like 10, 15 hours, some of them can sleep underwater. And then they got to come up and take a really big deep breath. Sperm whales, I believe, and maybe belugas hold their breath the longest because sperm whales love to dive super, super deep to collect their food. So they can hold their breath for hours and hours and hours. And then they'll come back up. So yeah, there we go.
Cullen, I know you have more, so I will come back to you in the next few minutes. We've got so many other things coming in our chat. All right, let's see. So we actually had how long can whales hold their breath? Fantastic. We're covering that from everybody. How many species of whale are there? Now, I did put this in the chat, and I do have the answer to this, so I know it's a tricky one offhand. 94 species of whale. I saw your face. So a lot, and this includes all our big whales, like the toothy ones, the dolphins, the big baleen whales, like a blue whale, minke whale, fin whale, all sorts of the giant ones. Great question, man. Okay, can the drone collect all the sounds that the whales generate? Can you fly over and hear a whale with a drone?
That is an amazing question. And yes, so I left this part out of the presentation just because we're currently not doing too much of that research right now. But in the past, we have also used something called hydrophones to conduct research and study whale sounds and whale noises. And hydrophones are underwater microphones that we put into the ocean to collect whale calls and whale samples, whale noise samples. And drones can absolutely record, but the problem is we are only allowed to fly drones within a certain distance of whales legally, to make sure that we are not interfering with whales, we are not hurting them, we are not stressing them out. So it's quite hard for the drone to pick up the sound of whales from that far. Now, in the future, are there, or maybe other organizations, are they maybe hanging a microphone down to do something like that? Maybe. But right now, drones are mainly being used to only take pictures and record videos of whales, just because we don't want to be too invasive. Great question.
It's a great question, and I want to stress, like, we have a really good technology for hearing whales, which is hydrophones. So, like, I've been on a beluga boat, and so the belugas are around you, and that's amazing. But like, you literally just lower a microphone off into the water, and you will hear the whales very easily. And so, like, the leading groups in the world that go to listen in on whales, they wouldn't need a drone because there are better technologies that you can just deploy from the boat, where you're less likely to injure the whale in some way with some flying technology.
Exactly,
guys. All right, Miss Rahim, who does have a student that would absolutely go and collect the poo, by the way. So way to go to that.
Amazing.
She wants to know, would a whale allow you to swim near it without swimming away?
Oh my gosh. Well, here's the thing. Whales, I believe, are like the gentle giants of the ocean. They are so curious, very, very social animals, which is something that we have in common with them. Whales are very curious. Some of them like to swim right up to humans when they're swimming in the ocean. Sometimes whales will hear a human in the ocean and try to follow it to find it, to see where the human is and what it's doing. Orcas especially are known for being so curious and wanting to come right up to a paddleboard or right up to divers. So you absolutely can. There are whale tours all around the world that allow you to go and swim with whales. But again, we want to do it ethically. Do we want to go in and try to disturb them when they're eating? Absolutely not. Do we want to try to touch them? Absolutely not, right? If we're observing, if we're in the ocean and they come to us, we're the chosen ones, you know? But always being mindful and respectful of these animals. They're not necessarily going to swim away. They can be curious, which is absolutely wonderful to experience, I'm sure.
I want to stress, because I was going to follow up with something, so I want to be very nuanced in how I say this. So you're absolutely right. 99.99% of the time, whale watching boats usually have big restrictions to how close they can get to a whale, and they don't really follow a whale. They go to an area where the whale's likely to be, and you just wait, because you really don't want to be in a situation where you hit a whale. There is one exception to this in the world, and in Baja Peninsula of Mexico. I encourage people to check this out. I'll put it in the chat. There's a gray whale pod there that literally do come up and like come out of the water to be pet, which is really weird and really freaky, and totally, you should not do this anywhere else in the world, but uniquely in this one spot. I just like highlighting it for people. Again, do check it out. It's fantastic. And again, it's whale led. Like, people aren't jumping on to touch the whale. The whales come up to the boat and like lean over the boat. People scratch them and they go, oh, okay, that's great. And they go back.
Yeah, they're almost like underwater puppies. Like, even the belugas that sometimes like to go and rub up on the rocks in the shallow water to rub their bellies and get a little scratch. They're so social. They love seeing us. But at the end of the day, we should always be a little bit respectful of their space, is all.
Yes, we should. Colin, we're going back to you, and then we'll take a couple from YouTube.
Cardinal.
Hey, come on back.
He just saw a cardinal outside, so he went.
Sweet. Check it. I hope it's still there when you're done.
Okay, you're good.
Are whales as smart as humans?
Oh my God, this is an amazing question. I would say yes. This is a subjective question. Now, obviously, if we're talking about higher intelligence and philosophy and things like that, maybe whales aren't really having an existential crisis the same way some humans do. But whales socialize the same way we do. They love their families. Killer whales have their own languages and their own dialects, meaning different families and pods of orcas will speak a different language from other ones. They have their own culture. They like to have fun. They like to play games. They get sad when they can't find their family, right? They try to find each other and talk to each other. They teach each other things. So absolutely, whales are some of the most intelligent animals on our planet. I mean, it's why I believe they have been so fascinating and why people have been so encouraged in the past to try and train them. Even the fact that they can learn these things and try to communicate with us, right, shows how intelligent they are. And maybe we've taken advantage of that a little bit in the past. But yeah, they're very, very intelligent animals and very, very social animals. And that's why I think they're so great.
I've put in the chat for everyone Project SETI. So this is the Center for, what does SETI stand for? That kind of, that's so funny. Long story short, Man, I see it's the end of my year and my brain's just melted out the window as summer comes.
It happens.
We have a team from the University of Ottawa that goes down to Dominica in the Caribbean every year, and they are leading the charge to understand whales speaking to each other. So they've done incredible work on this. It's one of the coolest projects ever. We have featured it at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants with Dr. Shane Giro. So I encourage you, check that out. Check out Project SETI. Some really, really cool stuff. If you want to learn more about whale intelligence, it's wild.
Mhm.
Yeah, welcome in Bracebridge. Elena wants to know, why do barnacles attach to whales?
Amazing. Okay, so barnacles and whales actually have something called a symbiotic relationship. And that is when two animals kind of use each other in some way. It can be mutualistic, meaning that these two animals give each other some sort of benefit, and they have a really good, healthy partnership. Some of them can be commensalist, meaning that like one of them benefits, but the other one's just kind of hanging out and it doesn't really matter. And then there can be parasitic relationships, which is when an animal is being hurt by the other animal using them. So barnacles and whales have a symbiotic relationship where barnacles will kind of grow on them and they'll kind of filter the food or like the water around them and things like that, but they just kind of need a place to grow and live. And whales grow a lot of algae and a lot of zooplankton around them, so they attract a lot of the food that barnacles like to eat. So barnacles will kind of sit and kind of clutch onto them and use them as like a free ride and free food around them.
If I could just lob onto a whale and just eat things out of back all the time, that sounds like a pretty sweet life. That's a very
Sounds like a sweet life, yeah.
fish do it for sharks, like remoras. Like there's whole groups of animals that just live on other animals and eat the things that they fall off them. It's a pretty sweet life if you can get it. I've put we've had a bunch more whale intelligence questions in the chat, so I have put the link to the orca hunt in Frozen Planet 2, which is one of the most insane things you'll ever see in your life. I encourage you all to check it out on YouTube. Let's see, Molly and Preston in Maryland. Now, they were the students that are going to go collect whale poo when this program is over, and they want to know if whale poo smells really, really bad.
Oh, I actually don't know. I've never collected a whale poop sample, but I imagine it probably does. Imagine all that seafood that they're eating. I don't think it's going to be very floral. Yeah.
So I can't speak to poop either, but I can tell you this. We had in Newfoundland, a blue whale washed up on the beach, and it died, and they took it and they put its skeleton in the Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto. And in the exhibit with the whale, they had a chunk. They had the watch of a man who was one of the guys who was cutting the whale open when it was dead. They're getting all the samples from it. And you could open up a little flap and smell the watch. And I can tell you, Molly and Preston, I, to this day, have never smelled anything worse than that watch. Yet everyone involved had to throw out their clothes. They had to like burn them because they were so smelly. So I'm guessing that whale poo is not the best. So if it's the life for you, great. You're great for science. You're going to have a lot of fun, but pretty sketchy out there.
Yeah, the things we do for science, eh? The things we do to protect
all
these
the
animals.
poo, all the poo, all the time.
All the poo.
In honor of Colin being here live with us on our last day, I'm going to go to you for one final question. I want to stress, if your question didn't get answered, we only have so much time together. So email the rest to me. I'll pass them along. We'll get them answered. Please do fill out our little survey. We'd love to hear from you. And it's just been, before we take our final question, it's been such an honor with all of you this year. Thank you so much for being just the best audience you've ever had. I'm going to miss you guys all summer, and I can't wait for September. But with all that said, enough about me. We're going to go to Colin for one final question. Take us away, man.
We're going to miss you too, Jesse. What is the biggest thing an orca can eat?
The biggest what?
Thing an orca can eat.
Ooh.
Oh my God, this is such a cool question. So, orcas are actually very picky eaters. So different pods of orcas are going to eat different things. For example, the southern resident killer whales in British Columbia, they like to eat only salmon, right? And their bodies they've adapted to only eating salmon. So if they try to eat something else, they can't even digest it properly, right? But killer whales have also been known to eat seals, stingrays, turtles. But the biggest thing and probably the coolest thing that they've eaten is actually great white sharks. So killer whales have been known to hunt down, track, and kill great white sharks. And they will, with like surgical precision, kind of slice them open and get the yummy, tasty bits that they want inside, like their livers, for example, right? because it's so like juicy for them. So they will hunt down killer whales and they will eat killer whales and they will eat other whales as well. So killer whales are apex predators. They're at the top of the food chain. Nobody messes with these guys, hence the name killer whale.
I want to stress, like off the coast of California, you can literally monitor, like with those hydrophones and cameras and everything else, the great white sharks can sense the orcas coming and will like flee and get out of there as soon as possible.
They're like, not these guys. We got to get out of here.
It would be like if I was walking in a field and I knew a bunch of tigers were coming. I just like start booking it in the other direction. Same deal with great whites. It's super, super cool.
Nobody messes with those guys. Yep.
What a fun final question. What a fun Q&A. You are awesome as always. Thank you for your passion, your expertise, all of it. Again, everyone should go to ocean.org, check out all the incredible work that they do. Book another lesson if you're keen. We'd love to have you back for that. Classes, thank you so much. Before we wrap up and say farewell, any final message you want to leave us with today?
I feel like I always kind of say the same thing, but it's just my message to everybody in this job. There are so many ways that we can bring conservation into everything that we do. Stay curious, keep joining programs like these, stay fascinated, keep asking your questions, and all of these things will kind of help influence policy and changes around the world so that we can protect these ecosystems and these animals better. So stay curious, keep asking questions, and keep sharing what you know. And hopefully one day I'll see you out on a boat and we can collect some whale poop together.
Let's go. I'm running to the harbor right now. Thank you so much to everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Have a wonderful rest of the summer. If it's your last program with us at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants, we can't wait to see you next year. And Ocean-wise, we can't wait to do another big series with you too. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye for now. See you soon. Farewell.